Thank you. This bill is about enhancing natural gas distribution, making it more reliable, resilient, secure, and promoting economic growth. Let me frame the issue. America is committed to energy independence, and we should be. The President supports it, Congress supports it, and more importantly, the people of the United States support it. The Energy Policy Act of 2005 required multiple agencies to establish energy corridors across federal lands. 10 years later, we have exactly 0 of those corridors in the eastern United States. Why? Because the National Park Service lacks the authority to negotiate natural gas pipelines. It requires an act of Congress for every individual project. Let me give one example. The Appalachian Trail is a major, huge national park, 2,200 miles long, comprised of 14 states, and to get a pipeline across it requires an act of Congress. The Department of Interior can't issue those permits. There is no sense in using a legislative body to manage and oversee individual site-specific applications. It's bad for consumers. It's bad for the producers in the West. I would point to the map that's up on the board. It's similar to the one the chairman referenced earlier. In Linden, New Jersey, near to me, we're paying $22.35 for 1 million BTUs. $22.35. Go to Wichita, Kansas, it's $2.64. It's nearly 10 times in the eastern United States. That isn't good for anybody. This bill is a simple effort to try to solve this by requiring the Department of the Interior to do what they should have done years ago, and that's designate at a minimum 10 energy corridors across federal lands within 2 years of enactment of this legislation. This is for natural gas only. It would also streamline the process for granting rights of way across those corridors. This is not a new concept. The Mineral Leasing Act authorized the Secretary of the Interior to grant rights of way across federal lands except for the national parks. The National Park Service already grants rights of way across its lands for electric transmission lines, for telephone lines, for water lines. So why was natural gas left out? Well, maybe because the Mineral Leasing Act was passed in 1911. And I don't think we were thinking about natural gas pipelines over 100 years ago. It's high time for us to update our legislation to allow for natural gas pipelines. And I want to point out that every individual project still has to go through permitting that is subject to the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. The bill enjoys broad support for good reason. It will further energy independence, and I believe national security along with it. It'll create jobs, both construction and maintenance jobs. That's why the operating engineers and the building trades union supports it. It's environmentally sensitive. It's natural gas only. It's planned, intentional, and it's a cohesive approach. It ends this willy-nilly, haphazard approach of approving one pipeline at a time through an act of Congress. In my mind, this is a common-sense update to a 100-year-old law. It brings our energy policy into the 21st century, and I urge support and yield back. And I encourage my colleagues who might see issues with it here and there, don't let the perfect become the enemy of the good. This is good legislation, and it'll certainly help people in the eastern United States. I yield back. Thank you.